A long time ago, in the land of Canaan, lived a young man named Joseph. He was 17, full of dreams, and dearly loved by his father Jacob. So much so that Jacob gave him a special gift, a colorful robe. Joseph often wore the vibrant, colorful robe wherever he went, but his brothers watched with frowns.
Joseph, you are special to me.
But Joseph's older brothers were jealous. To them, he was just a spoiled dreamer.
Last night, I dreamed that my bundle of grain stood up, and your bundles bowed down to it.
Oh, so now you're our king?
And then I had another dream. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed to me too.
Even Jacob was puzzled by these dreams, though he quietly kept them in mind. But the brothers? Their jealousy turned to anger, and they betrayed Joseph. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields. When they saw him coming,
"Here comes the dreamer."
Let's kill him.
No, just throw him into this pit.
Reuben hoped to rescue Joseph later, but while he was gone, a caravan of traders passed by.
Let's sell him instead. We'll make money and be rid of him.
They sold Joseph for 20 silver coins. The traders took him to Egypt. The brothers dipped his robe in goat's blood and lied to their father that he was devoured by a dangerous animal.
This is Joseph's robe. My son has been torn apart by a dangerous animal. Oh, my God.
And Jacob mourned Joseph bitterly and would not be consoled. Meanwhile, Judah, one of the brothers, left home and started a family of his own. Judah married and had 3 sons, namely Onan, and Shelah. Judah's oldest son, married a woman named Tamar. But was wicked in God's eyes, and he died.
Marry your brother's widow and have a child for him, so his family line continues.
But Onan didn't want to. He married Tamar, but made sure she couldn't have a child, and God saw this and took his life too.
Tamar, go live with your family. When my youngest son, Shelah, is older, he'll marry you.
But Judah had no intention of keeping his promise. Time passed, and Judah's wife died. Tamar heard Judah was traveling nearby. Tamar saw that Judah wasn't going to give her Shelah, so she came up with a bold plan. She disguised herself in a veil and waited by the road.
Let me be with you.
What will you give me?
A young goat.
Leave your seal, cord, and staff with me until you send it.
Judah agreed. Later, when he sent the goat, she was gone. Months passed, and then...
Judah, your daughter-in-law Tamar is pregnant.
She must be punished.
I'm pregnant by the man who owns this seal, cord, and staff.
Judah looked and realized the truth, that he had messed up, that he was responsible for the pregnancy.
She is more righteous than I am. I didn't give her my son, Shelah.
Tamar gave birth to twin boys, Perez and Zerah. And even through this messy story, God was still working out his greater plan. While Judah's story unfolded, Joseph's journey in Egypt took many twists and turns. He became a servant in the house of Potiphar, a powerful Egyptian.
Joseph, you are wise and honest. You're in charge of everything I own.
But trouble came again. Potiphar's wife tried to tempt him.
Joseph, come with me.
No, that would be a sin against God and your husband.
Angry, she lied and said Joseph attacked her. Potiphar had Joseph thrown into prison.
Lord, I don't understand, but I trust you.
And Joseph began to interpret dreams in the prison. Even in prison, God was with Joseph. He met 2 of Pharaoh's servants, the cupbearer and the baker, both troubled by dreams.
In my dream, I saw a vine with 3 branches. I squeezed grapes into Pharaoh's cup.
In 3 days, you'll be restored to your position.
I had 3 baskets of bread, and birds ate from the top one.
In 3 days, Pharaoh will take your life.
Everything happened as Joseph said, but the cupbearer forgot him for 2 whole years. Then came Pharaoh's dream and Joseph's rise. Then Pharaoh had 2 strange dreams: fat cows eaten by thin cows, and healthy grain swallowed by dried up grain.
Who can tell me what this means?
There's a man in prison, Joseph. He interprets dreams.
This brought Joseph before Pharaoh.
I hear you can explain dreams.
He can't, but God can.
Joseph explained. The dreams meant 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine.
Store food now, during the good years. Then you'll survive the famine.
Who else has the spirit of God like this man? Joseph, you will oversee all of Egypt.
In one day, Joseph went from prisoner to prince. He stored grain and saved many lives, including, soon, his own family. From betrayal and pain, to wisdom and honor. From broken promises, to redemption and hope. While overseeing the grains of Egypt, as the prime minister, Joseph got married and had twin boys named Ephraim and Manasseh.
God was with me even when I was alone.
Sometimes it takes brokenness to see what's right.
God used both Joseph's trials and Judah's failures to prepare the way for something greater. Even when we mess up, even when others hurt us, God is still writing a beautiful story. God works through broken people and broken moments to bring about his perfect plan. That was Joseph's story, part 1. Watch out for part 2. Please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching. Years had passed since Joseph became governor of Egypt. The land was now deep in a famine, just as God had warned in Pharaoh's dreams. But Egypt had food because Joseph had prepared. Back in Canaan, Joseph's father Jacob and his sons were hungry. The brothers sat around with worried looks. The fields were dry. Jacob asked them why they were just sitting looking at each other.
I've heard there's grain in Egypt. Go there and buy some for us, so we don't starve.
It was indeed a difficult time, so 10 of Jacob's sons traveled to Egypt to buy food. But Jacob kept Benjamin, the youngest, at home. He was afraid of losing him, just like he had lost Joseph years ago. Benjamin was his consolation at the time. When the brothers arrived in Egypt, they bowed before the governor, who was really Joseph, their long-lost brother. But they didn't recognize him. Joseph, however, knew them immediately. As the brothers bowed, Joseph watched them silently, eyes wide, holding back emotion. Joseph asked them sternly, "Where are you from?" And they replied, "From Canaan. We've come to buy food."
You're spies. You've come to see where our land is weak.
The brothers were shocked and afraid. Reuben pleaded, "No, my lord. We are honest men. We are 12 brothers, the sons of one man. One is no more, and the youngest is with our father." Joseph thought to himself, "They still think I'm gone. But do they regret what they did?" It was an emotional moment, but Joseph hid his emotion. Joseph put them in prison for 3 days. Then he told them,
Leave one of your brothers here. The rest of you can go home with grain. But bring your youngest brother back to prove your honesty.
The brothers whispered among themselves, not knowing Joseph could understand their language.
This is happening because of what we did to Joseph. We saw his distress when he begged us, but we didn't listen.
Joseph listened keenly, without letting them realize. Then Joseph turned away and wept. He cried silently in a corner and then composed himself again. He regularly inspected them to know how they were faring. He kept Simeon in Egypt and let the rest return home with their sacks full of grain, and secretly their money returned. He kept an eye on Simeon. The brothers returned to Jacob and told him everything. When they opened their bags and found their money inside, they were afraid. Jacob, holding the grain, looked worried and lamented. "You've taken Joseph from me, and now Simeon is gone. And now you want to take Benjamin too?"
Everything is against me. I promise I'll bring him back. You can hold me accountable.
So Reuben convinced the father to release Benjamin to him. Eventually, when the food ran out again, Jacob let Benjamin go. The brothers returned to Egypt, fearful but determined. It was another dreadful moment to confront the governor of Egypt. When Joseph saw Benjamin, he was overwhelmed. He invited the brothers to a feast. Still, he didn't reveal who he was. Joseph sat at the head of the table, watching Benjamin with teary eyes. He enjoyed the moment, but with a heavy heart. Joseph gave Benjamin 5 times more food than the others. He wanted to see how the brothers would react. Were they still jealous? But this time, there was no ill reaction from his brothers. Then Joseph tested them again. He hid his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. After they left the city, his steward caught up with them. The steward accused them, saying, "Why have you repaid kindness with evil?"
My master's silver cup is missing.
The brothers were stunned. They hadn't taken anything. But when the cup was found in Benjamin's sack, they tore their clothes in grief and returned to Joseph. Judah fell before Joseph and pleaded,
Please, my lord, take me instead. Let Benjamin go back to our father. If he doesn't return, our father will die of sorrow.
So, everybody was sorrowful. At that moment, Joseph couldn't hold back anymore. He cried out, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The brothers were stunned, their eyes wide with shock. They were speechless, terrified, unsure what Joseph would do. Then said Joseph gently, "Don't be afraid. Don't blame yourselves.
God sent me ahead of you to save lives. What you meant for harm, God used for good."
Joseph hugged his brothers, especially Benjamin. He wept with them, and joy filled the room. Joseph and Benjamin embraced. The brothers gathered around, smiling, wiping tears. Joseph, smiling, said, "Go back and bring our father. Tell him everything."
There's still 5 years of famine left. Come and live here where there's food and safety.
It was unbelievable. The brothers returned to Canaan with amazing news. Jacob couldn't believe it. Joseph was alive, and soon the whole family would be reunited in Egypt. Jacob felt as though he was dreaming. This story reminds us that even when life feels unfair or painful, God can use every moment for something greater. Joseph chose forgiveness instead of revenge, and through his grace, a broken family was made whole again. Maybe you've been hurt, or maybe you've made mistakes. But like Joseph and his brothers, there's always a chance to choose forgiveness, healing, and a new beginning. This was how Jacob's family migrated to Egypt. Watch out for the part 3 of this story. Please subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. In the land of Canaan, the old man Jacob, also called Israel, was about to make the biggest journey of his life. His son Joseph, whom he thought was dead, was alive. And not just alive, but the second most powerful man in Egypt. A terrible famine had swept across the land, but now there was hope again. Jacob gathered his whole family, his sons, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, and all they owned. Over 70 people packed up and started the journey to Egypt.
Lord God of my father Abraham and Isaac, please guide me. I'm afraid to leave the land you gave us.
That night, God spoke to Jacob in a dream.
Jacob, don't be afraid to go to Egypt. I will make your family into a great nation there. I will go with you and I will bring you back again.
With courage in his heart, Jacob continued the journey. When Joseph heard his father was coming, he rode out in his royal chariot. Joseph, leaping from his chariot, shouted, "Father!" Jacob, with tears in his eyes, replied, "Joseph, my son, you're alive." They hugged tightly and wept for a long time. It was a beautiful moment. After years of pain, father and son were together again. Joseph brought 5 of his brothers to meet Pharaoh.
What do you do for work?
We are shepherds, just like our ancestors.
Pharaoh then said to Joseph, "Let them settle in the land of Goshen. It's perfect for their flocks." Pharaoh also gave Jacob a warm welcome. Joseph made sure his family had everything they needed. The famine grew worse. People from all over came to Egypt for food. Joseph wisely managed Egypt's grain, exchanging it for silver, livestock, and land to keep the nation going. An Egyptian farmer even gratefully expressed to Joseph, saying, "You have saved our lives. We will serve Pharaoh." Joseph's wise leadership helped Egypt and his family survive the hard years. Years passed. Jacob was now very old. Before he died, he blessed each of his 12 sons, speaking a special message over each one. To Joseph's 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, he gave a special blessing too.
May the God who has cared for me bless these boys. May they grow into a great people on the earth.
Then Jacob made his sons promise to bury him in the land of his ancestors. And soon after, Jacob passed away peacefully. Joseph wept over his father. Pharaoh allowed Joseph and all his brothers to travel back to Canaan to bury Jacob. Egyptian officials and soldiers joined Thema grand funeral procession, then declared Reuben,
"Father is home again."
After the funeral, Joseph's brothers were afraid. They thought Joseph might now take revenge for what they had done to him long ago. So Judah said to Joseph, nervously,
"Joseph, before he died, our father told us to ask you to please forgive us."
Don't be afraid. I'm not God. What you meant for harm, God used for good. He sent me here to save lives.
Joseph comforted his brothers and took care of them and their families. He lived to see generations of children grow up. This story shows us the power of forgiveness, the beauty of family, and how God can turn the worst moments into something good. Joseph chose kindness over revenge. He trusted God, even in the hardest times, and in the end, love won. When life gets hard, remember Joseph's story. God is still working, even when we can't see it. And like Joseph, we can choose forgiveness, hope, and faith. So did the Israelites live peacefully in Goshen, Egypt, for many years. And this is the end of the series on the migration of Israel to Egypt. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching.